you do? Good morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Listen, y'all. If you don't love yourself, you need to find out what it feels like to love yourself. And don't be worried about anything and everybody but the creator that told you, like he told me to rise this morning, because there's something and someone that needs my attention, and he's going to give it to me through the Holy Spirit of what to say, what to do, how to do it, right? When to do it, and most importantly, to let them know who's really doing it all, okay? Welcome to the Free to Hope with Edwina B. Yes, right, y'all. Miss Cuckoo for Cocoa Pops, right? Miss Cuckoo for Cocoa Pops. And so one of the things that I want to say is that Free to Hope, from recovery, emerge empowered to give hope to others. Real simple. Whenever you are going through a surgery or you're going through a transition and you are in a spiritual transformation, whether you know it or not, because you come through, and whatever resource you relied on or whatever force or source you relied on, it brought you through. But for me, 34 plus years ago, underneath that parked car, the God that I know now, who I didn't know then, met me, delivered me, and prepared me from underneath that parked car to sit before you today, even with my co-occurring disorders of mental illness and substance abuse and all the related attitudes, ideas, and behaviors. But guess what? Look at me now. Not the messenger, but listen to the message. There's a big difference, okay? So I have recovered from recovery. I have emerged empowered for only one reason: to give hope to others, help others prosper equally. If he did it for me, he can do it for you. All right, so y'all know already what I'm going to talk about today. I'm going to talk about my amazing breakthrough yesterday with McDonald's, of all places, right? McDonald's, right? And so listen, y'all, I praise my God all the day long. Yes, I do. And because I do that, I have no expectations, because I accept whatever he gives to me, when and how, because I know who's in charge. And I know all things work for the good who love the Lord. And God knows I love him. And so yesterday, when I left a particular place to go to McDonald's because I was hungry, and I stopped at McDonald's and got in line and made my order. And I checked my little account. I had $8, and my meal came to $9.29. And so I attempted to transfer $10 of my $38 that I had left in the bank, right? And it declined. Tried again, it declined. I tried to get into my account to see why I can't transfer. It declined. But you know what? I started digging. I started collecting my nickels, my pennies, my quarters, right? Going in this slot, going in this cubby hole, whatever. And so that when I get to the window, I can do $8 on my Cash App and $1.29 and change, right? And so when I got to the window and I went to hand her, she said, "Ma'am, I was told to tell you, have a blessed day. Pass on the blessing." I was like, "Huh?" She said, "The lady ahead of you paid for your meal." I said, "She did? She did, honey." I opened up that door and I ran up to that window and I grabbed that young lady's hands, and I was just a crying. I was just a crying. I was like, ma'am, thank you so much, because I was back there counting my pennies. I was counting my pennies. Oh, so listen, if I continue, I'm going to keep crying, and I'll be crying all day. But it's not the matter of the penny or of the food. It was watching how the Lord still provides all my needs, and he touches those who know him to yield to the Spirit to help touch the needs of others. And listen, That's all I'm going to say about it, because if I keep talking about it, I'm going to cry again. But all that to say, and AJ Harding just talked about it, being inconsistent causes lack. By me being consistent with my praising my God all day long, he consistently blesses me all over, all day, all what? Listen, I'm one happy camper. Why? Because I've learned in my process of 34 plus years to apply spiritual tools, resources, and principles that I learned from the 12-step spiritual program of Alcoholics Anonymous within a 12-step fellowship that's spiritual in nature. So you see, he blessed me. He blessed me. He continues to bless me. He used me. He uses me and will continue to use me. And I would prefer, rather demand, that my God choose to use me for his purpose only. Just to touch one more. You know, I did say yesterday, during the time I came on Facebook, that when I yield to the Spirit, I yield to the Spirit. So just like that young lady, she yielded to the Spirit, I've done the same thing. And I said the same thing she told them to tell me. I would tell the waitress, tell that person, have a blessed day, and pass on the blessing. And see, I didn't expect it to come back to me, but when it does, it just solidifies that he will provide all my needs. And he will put people in place to provide my needs and the needs of others. So you know what? Listen, use me, Lord. Use me. All right, so let's, I need to make one correction, all right, about the event of Benjamin Twin Brown. So let me bring that up. Okay? And so one of the things that I failed to do yesterday was to show you, hold on, let me see how I can do this, okay? All right. So August Quarterly has been going on all week in one shape, form, or fashion. And they are providing a tribute to Reverend Dr. Benjamin Twin Brown. I thought it was Saturday, tomorrow, the 24th, but it's really Sunday, August the 25th. So I need y'all to make that correction, right? And if you're planning to go, to make sure that you come on Sunday, August the 25th, right, for the August Quarterly tribute to Dr. Benjamin Twin Brown between the hours of 4 and 5 p.m., okay? So that was my bad. It's not Saturday, it is Sunday. So I need to call all of my CCC previous and existing and new board members to let them know we all need to show up. In addition, I'm going to extend an invitation to Dr. Brown's family that's here in Delaware as well as in Philadelphia, because once again, the whole month of August, Twin used to celebrate the entire month. And because his birthday was August the 7th, and the reason why I'm sitting here before you is because of Dr. Brown, who also yielded to the Spirit to convince me that what I had been through and what God had brought me through, that the community needed to know. And for 33 plus years, I've been sharing my testimony on their various platforms, including my book, From Crack to Christ, and sharing how my God, who I didn't know underneath that parked car, and I cried out, whoever they say you are, take me out this life now or show me a better way. It is because of Dr. Benjamin Twin Brown, okay? So once we have this tribute, the newly formed board will be putting together a 2-day celebration along with the launch of his book, The Legacy of Dr. Brown by Dr. Sharon Burton, sometime in mid or late October. And so we will have that celebration. And so I will be reaching out for sponsors, for supporters, for volunteers to help us put together an extravaganza that Twin always wanted but never received while he yet lived. And guess what? That's just human nature. It's just human nature. It is what it is, right? But because he passed up a baton to me as the new executive director, and alongside of me is my director of operations, Don Thomas, out of Atlanta, and his wife, Miss Lyric, and they're all coming to Delaware, where the headquarters of CCC will continue to evolve and become national, okay? So look forward to information about the upcoming celebration and the launch of his book. It will be free to the public, but I will need funds from the government, public, and private organizations to help put together an astronomical and phenomenal event for Dr. Brown because of what he has done, not just in Delaware, not just in Florida, not just in Baltimore, Maryland, or Chester, Pennsylvania. He was renowned and went all around the world to share the positives, making sure the positive outshine the negative. Okay, so look forward to more information about that. Okay, so let me get into our topic today. All right, so many of you know that yesterday I had shared with you yesterday the topic of, right, seeking emotional stability. And I told y'all, even though we got the topic for today, but I needed to finish up on yesterday's topic. So let me remind you what it is saying. It says seeking emotional stability. And so with what little you got yesterday, I hope it resonated in your spirit, questioning the importance of seeking emotional stability, being stable, right, being firm, being steadfast, stability, being connected, being stationed, stability, stable, right, stable, not rocky okie yaki, you know what I mean. We are emotional people, right? And once we accept that and know that and recognize how, when we compare Dr. Spock, who had no emotions, and compare it to our emotions and how our attitudes and behaviors and actions are driven by our emotions, wow, no wonder he was able to stay calm and stay stable and relaxed and in charge, right? Yes. Well, guess what? We want to seek emotional stability by using 12 spiritual principles, tools, and resources that are available for any and everybody. All right, so yesterday we talked about how the co-founder used the reading that says, right, when we developed still more, we discovered the best possible source of emotional stability to be God himself. Okay, so we talked about that. Then we went down into what the person shared, and he started off by saying, all my life I had depended on people for my emotional needs and security, but today I cannot live that way anymore. See? And so when we go back into our 4-step inventory and we found the unrealistic dependence we had on others to provide us with security, stabilization, and all of that, right? Human beings, including ourselves, failed each other because we were just like each other. We didn't have what it takes to continuously be relied on for any and everything. Guess what? What? A car eventually breaks down because it was only built for a short time. And guess what? This vessel is the same way. And so spiritually, when we look at who is responsible for it all, right? So when the fog of the alcohol and the drugs and the mental illness begin to dissipate, you know what I mean, then I could begin to see. But for 34 years, one day at a time, right? It's not about secular time, it's really about sacred time that more has been revealed to me. And so I understand now why it is unhealthy, right, for me to depend on human beings as I did in the past. Okay. So he goes on to say, but by the grace of God, I have admitted my powerlessness over people, places, and things, right? I had been a real people addict. I shared with you all the other day that my first addiction was seeking attention. Seeking attention. Yes, it was. And I became a people pleaser. I became the one who would put on any and all masks to suit any and all situations, right? Oh my God, look where that took me underneath that doggone parked car, right? And so I now know, because of these spiritual principles, tools, and resources, that I no longer, right? I no longer, have to live that way anymore. And all I need to do is admit and accept my powerless over people, places, and things. And I gave this scenario of, if you and I think we had so much power, let's bring our loved ones back from the dead. We can, right? So admit it, accept it, and move on. Because if we don't, just like I told about that guy Anthony Perkins with Psycho, his mother was dead. But look how his life became unmanageable because of his reluctance to admit and accept the obvious, right? So then the person talks about, right? He says here, right? I had been a real people addict. Whenever I went there, I had to be someone who would pay. No, let me read it again. Okay. I had been a real people addict. Wherever I went, there had to be someone who would pay some kind of attention to me. It was the kind of attitude that could only get worse. Why? Because the more I depended on others and demanded attention, the less I got, or the less you got, or you didn't get it the way you thought you should have it, right? And then resentments and anger and retaliation and all those character defects that bubble up and bust, okay? And so the last paragraph that I want to go into before we go to our topic for today, he says, I have given up believing that any human power can relieve me of that empty feeling. I have given up believing. Do you hear that? I have given up believing. And see, with the 5 agreements by the Uwees family, they talk about the domestication process. We were taught what to believe. We was taught what to feel. We was taught how to act. We were conditioned. We were brainwashed, right? We were domesticated, right? And so we who have admitted our powerlessness over people, places, and things like alcohol and drugs and all those things that have caused unmanageability in our life, we recognize that all we have to do is admit and accept our powerlessness, right? And stop believing the lies, right? And so that's what it means when he says, I have given up believing that any human power can relieve me of that empty feeling. Oh my gosh. Although I remain a fragile human being who needs to work AA steps to keep this particular principle before my personality, it is only a loving God who can give me inner peace and emotional stability. Okay, you see this woman right here, did my mama right here, right? Even my mother was limited in what she could do for her children. I shared how she believed that she had the power to protect her children. As much as she wanted and desired and tried, she was limited to the time when she had to relinquish to God and said, God, listen, Protect my children from seen and unseen harm. Provide a fence around them. Lord, you know that I can't be there, but you are always there. And guess what? Her prayers were answered, right? And so it is through, right, the God of my understanding, not the God that I was taught about, because I was taught that God was a punishing God, right? God was going to get you if you were bad. And so I believe that. So no longer it says here, right? No longer it says, right? I have given up believing that any human power can relieve me of that empty feeling. And it says in our AA literature, no human power could relieve us of our alcoholism, that God could and would if he was sought. All right. And although I remain a fragile human being who needs, and not only need, I want to work. I want to work the AA steps to keep this particular principles before my personality, right? It's spiritual in nature, because it is only a loving God who can give me inner peace and emotional stability. Have you come to that realization yet? Has it been far and in between? Has it been a fleeing moment, right? Huh? Think about it, right? When your life is unraveling before you and you just feel like what? Maybe you felt like I did. Hopeless, helpless, right? Worthless, self-loathing, humiliated, worth nothing, attempted suicide, raped, beat up, passed around like a bucket. Because I did not learn the spiritual aspect of my existence, which is the way it was, right? It is what it is. But through my life's journey, it's designed for that purpose, for us to seek, for us to come to believe that there is a power greater than us. Yes. And so when each and every one of us, as it says, every knee shall bow. Every knee shall bow and will confess, holler out that he is. Woo! Listen, I'm glad I had mine, which is another reason why I'm sitting here before you now. You know, my bottom was a blessing, obviously. But to man, it was very humiliating. But God said, no, I got you behind. This is where I need you and want you. Mm-hmm. I know you need me, but I want you to want me. And see, I want him like nothing else. That's why I praise him all the day long, okay? So, emotional stability, I'm seeking it and will continue to seek it, because the more I get, the more I have, the more I want. All right, so you with me? Now, are you ready to go to today's topic? Oh my, you see the message? The topic is bringing the message home. Oh boy. Let's get into this, y'all. Let's get into this message here. Okay. Now, so it says here, wait a minute, let me go to the next one. It says here, right? August the 23rd. Bringing the message home. Let's see what this bad boy have to say. I need a drink, y'all, because I got something to say about this topic. Lord help me. I love you. It says, can we bring the same spirit of love and tolerance into our sometimes deranged family lives that we bring to our AA group? This comes from the 12 Steps and 12 Traditions, pages 111 through 12. 11 through 112, right? So the person in recovery shares their experience, and I can't wait to share mine, I tell you. And I can't wait to hear yours, right? They said, my family members suffer from the effects of my disease. Loving and accepting them as they are, just as I love and accept AA members, fosters a return of love, tolerance, and harmony to my life. Using common courtesy and respecting others' personal boundaries are necessary practices for all areas of my life. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Woo! Okay, let me put these glasses back on. I tell you, being authentic and transparent, I can act like I can see, but I can't see nothing without these dollar glasses. That's right, I said it. All right, so bringing the message home. Okay. Can we, this is the question, can we bring the same spirit of love and tolerance into our sometimes deranged family lives that we bring to our AA group? Okay, so here they are talking about, I, who have been attending my Alcoholics Anonymous 12-step meetings for 34 plus years, every day in one way, shape, form, or fashion. So not understanding in the beginning what the spiritual program, spiritual fellowship was about, because I was so used to thinking about religion. See, I really didn't understand the difference between religion and spirituality. I didn't, okay, because I wasn't taught about spirituality. I was taught about religion. And so what I saw in my family coming up, right, there was a lot of unhealthy behaviors, frightening things that happened. There was a lot of confusion. Oh my God, there was a lot of confusion. Yes, a lot of confusion. Do as I say and not as I do. It's okay for you to tell me not to drink, not to smoke, not to do drugs, not to prostitute, not to steal, not to lie, not to manipulate. And I see you do those things. What the hell? Confusion. Okay? And so there in itself, I can understand that first sentence, right? That says, can we bring the same spirit of love and tolerance into our sometimes deranged family lives, right? That we bring to our AA group. Now, good morning, Marzi 444. I hear you. So listen, when I was introduced to Alcoholics Anonymous, this 12-step spiritual program, I really didn't know what, quote unquote, that type of recovery was about. I know what physical recovery was about. You know what I mean? I had a sore and we, gave it attention and whatnot. And we put a Band-Aid on it. And then sometimes, we as human beings want to pick at the scab and stop the recovery process because it's just something about it. We got to pick that scab. Y'all know what I'm talking about, right? And so I understand the physical recovery part, right? But when I was underneath that parked car 34 plus years ago, suffering from addiction and mental illness, right? as a prostitute, a drug addict, an alcoholic. I even committed murder. I had an abortion as a prostitute because I didn't want to admit who the family was. I mean, who the father was. And so I did not know that there was spirituality, something in a spiritual nature, right? That I was missing. But as a child, I remember having that yearning for what's it all about, right? And so that's why I know that I was chosen for this path. Many are called, but few are chosen. But I was chosen for this path. There are many pathways, right? There are many roads. There are many what? I mean, God is, it's unlimited. So I know now who I am and whose I am, and I know why I was chosen for this path. Yes, I was chosen for this path. Okay, so now I'm introduced to a program that on the outside appears to tell me that I need to put down drinking and drugging, right? That's my perception. That's my, understanding, right? Not getting into what's really behind it, right? I only see the obvious. I need to stop drinking and I need to stop drugging, right? Okay. And so when I was in one of those rehabs and this girl came to share her experience, her strength, and her hope from an AA group, right? AANA. She came from a group where they met every day doing these 12 spiritual principles with a 12 spiritual fellowship. She came to the facility where I was. And there was about maybe 30, 40 of us. And she sat in the room at the in the front of the room as the speaker, and there was a chairperson, right? In the past, because of my closed-mindedness and the fact that I still had reservations, right? And that I still didn't believe that these people were sober or didn't smoke crack, right? They looked like they was high then, right? Not understanding how those substances affect the body. But nevertheless, when the other people used to come in and share, I'd be like, man, look, I ain't trying to hear that. They ain't really done nothing. They ain't been where I've been. Oh my gosh. Oh my God. Well, honey, God did for me what I couldn't do for myself. And this young lady came into that rehab. She looked like me. She was, she looked like me, okay, number one. And she began to share, right? And so she talked about how she was raised. And a lot of her story was similar to mine. It brought about a lot of confusion. And she talked about the attitudes, ideas, and behaviors she was taught, right? And she talked about being introduced to drugs and alcohol and the lifestyle that I too was introduced to, right? So already there's similarities. And that began to grab my attention. That I know what she's talking about. I felt the same way. Oh, I did that. Oh, I said that. Oh my God, your family like that too? Yes. Okay. And so she went on to share how her being introduced to drugs, alcohol, the prostitution and all that, right, perpetuated itself, and that she thought that was the normal way to do things, right? In the midst of still growing up and got to go to school and all that kind of stuff. But she shared how those things in her family, right, and her extended family, and the things that was exciting and entertaining and what? The other things was, okay, I got to go to school, but let's party. Yes. Oh, I got to go to work, but let's party. Yes. But let's party. Yes. Party. Right? Mm-hmm. Pretending, playing house, right? Yeah. I mean, she was like, what? Man, when I say she got my attention. Then she talked about the ugly side of addiction. That the fact that she kept using and prostituting and drinking and doing all kinds of things and saying all kinds of things and behaving all kinds of ways, I was like, oh my God, listen to her. I did that. I felt like that. Right? And then she said what her bottom was and how she too was not introduced to a loving and caring God growing up, but that she was introduced to a 12-step program, right? And then she said that was spiritual in nature. Spiritual in nature? What is that about? And she said, I'm not talking about religion. She said, because religion, was distorted in her mind, and I know it was definitely distorted in my mind. So when she said the word spiritual, I was like, So she began to share where she got that spiritual information inside and within a 12-step spiritual program around people who had the same similar issues that she had, regardless of color, regardless of gender, regardless of economical status, right? She said she was among a fellowship of people who had more in common than differences. And she began to say, how in the beginning she was uncomfortable and she, but guess what? She said when she hit her bottom, she was telling it. She was telling it and she was telling it. And so here she was saying it was never about the drink or the drug. No, she said. She said it was about internal issues that she was incapable, in some cases, to identify, to reveal, to even understand. And so she said these 12 spiritual principles that are spiritual in nature helped her to reveal things that she wanted to conceal, that prevented her from even healing. Yes. Healing emotionally, psychologically, mentally, and spiritually, right? So she said I was among these people in this group who gave me, provided me, she said, unconditional love, no judgment, right? Supported me, encouraged me, right? And directed me to where the information was available in order for me to get better. She also stated that it was such a relief for her to find out that she was not a sick person. No, she was not a bad person, but a sick person who needed to get well. I was like, wow, I thought something was wrong with me. I thought I was the scum of the earth. I thought I was worse than an animal. Yes, underneath a parked car. And so in this group, within this spiritual fellowship, we gave each other love and tolerance, encouragement, right? Support like nothing else. So she said, as a result of her, right, coming into this 12-step spiritual program within the 12-step spiritual fellowship, right, that she didn't know nothing about, I didn't know nothing about, right? But it was the basis of us to get in touch with. It was never about the drink or the drug. It was our inability to deal with life on life terms because we didn't know, in my house, in her house, that there was a spiritual pathway to dealing with life on life terms. She was taught, no, we have to deal with life from our humanness. And so it was amazing how she was able to help me to say to God, if you keep me sober long enough, if you keep me sober, I want to be able to share just like her. Okay. So now that she set the foundation in her recovery, my recovery, guess what? The closest thing to us outside of the 12-step spiritual program, within the 12-step spiritual fellowship, immediately is our family. Woo, Lord have mercy. Now, do you hear what it says? I hope I broke it down to you, right? It says here, right? Can we bring the same spirit of love and tolerance, huh? Can we bring the same spirit, huh? See, that's where I learned, and I learned from her that this is just a vessel. What spirit is occupying that vessel, right? The same spirit of love and tolerance into our sometimes deranged family, right? That we bring to our AA group. All right. So. All right. Let me take a drink. Okay. So let me compare again. All right. Think about it. So I just explained to you earlier the environment that I was brought up in, right? And so in my 4-step recovery inventory of going all the way back to where these attitudes, ideas, and behaviors were first formulated, right? I had a father who was a womanizer. I had a father who was an abuser. I had a father who had some serious issues, unbeknownst to me. I had a father who instilled fear in us. I had a father who taught us that we are responsible for what happens to us. We, not this God, not this, no, you, right? It's all about, right? And so my father instilled in us that it was, it wasn't no what? It was you, right? And so my father said what he wanted, did what he wanted, acted like he wanted, behaved the way he wanted, and guess who I wanted to be like? Just like my dad. So there was no outside source or no God. No, it's me. I want to be just like my daddy. Yeah, okay. So my mom, bless her heart, right? By the time my father and her, she was 22, he was 24, they had 6 children. They were married when she was 15, he was 17, a shotgun wedding, if you really want to be honest, and you know I am, right? And so when I think about the circumstances in which they were put into based on our humanness, right? And so, and then growing up, seeing how my mother, right, was always a caregiver, she was always a nurturer. And in my perspective, sometimes she was weak. She was passive. She put up with a lot of my daddy's stuff. He beat her up, put her in the hospital, and bring another woman in, right? So you telling me that I need to bring, right, the love and tolerance from my AA spiritual group back into my home? Yeah, but I had to find out first what happened in my home. I had to find out not what was wrong with everybody. I needed to find out what happened with everybody, right? And so in order for me to bring the message home, I had to first find out what the message was. And that message had to begin with me, right? And so because I am one of the common denominators at my home and in this group, I needed to find out what happened. And so when I began to understand and unravel my childhood, where those attitudes, ideas, and behaviors were first formulated, by whom and in what situation and what circumstances, right? The whole 12-step spiritual process is to develop a psychic change in my thinking. It was never about the drink or the drug. It was about my thinking. It was about me feeding into my emotions. Yes, and what reference did I have? What I grew up with. This is the way you're supposed to act. This is the way you're supposed to say what you're supposed to say. This is the way you treat people. This is the way. This is the way. What? Confusion. Confusion. Okay. So, doing the work in Alcoholics Anonymous for 34 plus years, I have come to the realization that I am the only one in my family who is in recovery and has stayed in recovery. Yes, I'm the only one. My brothers, one drinks, one still using. One was introduced to the 12-step program, but he decided to drink, which led him back to crack. My sister Deborah, the one that I shared that my father incested from the time she was 7 to the time she was 21, that produced my niece/sister Helen that I talked about a few weeks ago, right? And so I'm the only one that's in this spiritual program within a spiritual fellowship. And that showed me that I was chosen. I was chosen. Why was I chosen? Because my Creator created me. He knows me inside, out, in, whatever. Known before I was even in the womb, He created my spirit. He decided to put me in this vessel. Yeah. Okay. So I'm understanding a little better now. Because I thirst for the truth. I thirst for the truth because all my life it's been about lies. It's been about lies. It's been about lies. But I don't blame anybody anymore. Because I understand a little bit better now of what happened. Not what's wrong with people, with me, but what happened. There's a different mindset when you talk to somebody and you're judging them, you're criticizing them, and you asking them, like I asked myself, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? When we should be asking, what happened to you? What happened to you? Tell me, what happened to you? What happened to you? And so when I'm in my 12-step spiritual group, we share with each other what happened to us. What happened, right? And so because we share in our group what happened to us, we now know how to reveal those things that we wanted to conceal that prevented us from healing, right? So in this 12-step spiritual group, and a lot of people don't understand what happens in our groups, right? When you come together with people who have been through the same thing you've been through, and you and them get sick and tired of living worse than an animal, you come together and you say, help me, and let us help each other, right? So that's the foundation for us who are in this recovery process, utilizing these 12 spiritual principles within a 12-step spiritual fellowship in our group. We learn how to practice love and tolerance outside of the group, and the first place is our home. Woo! I got to finish this tomorrow, y'all. Woo! I got to finish this tomorrow because it's time for me to go to my meeting. Right? These are tears of joy, y'all. Y'all know it's tears of their tears of joy. But I got to go to my meeting. I got to go to my group, my fellowship, my spiritual family, right? So I can get more information so I can share with you all right? So we're going to finish this tomorrow because I really need to hone in on this integration back into our family. Those who suffer from co-occurring disorders of mental illness and substance abuse and alcoholism. But guess what? All human beings are ill to some extent. And so that's why I know I was chosen for this path where I could be authentic and transparent. Oh, and I love it. Free? Oh, from recovery, I have emerged empowered to give hope to others, help others prosper equally. I am not intimidated by no man. I'm not intimidated by no man. No, not anymore. All right, I got to go to my meeting. All right, so if it's God's will that we are joined again, I might come back today because usually I take Saturday and Sunday off, right? So I might come back today. But whatever God wants me to do, I'll do. But if he allows us to meet again soon, then I hope you'll be here and I hope I'll be here, but only if it's his will, okay? So in the meantime, seek that emotional stability. Seek that emotional freedom. Seek within yourself the possibilities that are unlimited when you apply 12 spiritual principles, tools, resources, right? Tools to all earthly matters. And you'll be doing like I do. I praise him all day long. I love you. You love me. We are one big old family. Hey, smoke free. I'm glad you need smoke free. I'm smoke free too. I love you. You love me. We are one big old family with a great big, my arm getting better, hug and a kiss from me to you. Won't you say you love me too? Doesn't freedom look good? Try it. It works if you work it. Be blessed. Have a blessed day. Lord, I love you. That's all I say. All